And we are live, guys. Welcome to yet another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling, and today I would like to talk about how low can you go in terms of your personal expenses. Now, this is something that is also quite personal for me because I've kept my expenses too high throughout my marriage. And it's almost as if I've only realized it now. It's crazy because my road to success and financial freedom could have gone way faster. But I appreciate everything that has happened to me because it's also the reason for who I am today. And I just want to say that if you could have been more wiser than I have been, you would be light years ahead of me with the principles and with the truths that I've shared on this channel that will actually produce joy, and you couple that together with financial intelligence, advanced financial intelligence. That is the recipe for success financially, but also success with your relationships and with your family and basically with your whole life. So how low can you go in terms of your personal expenses? If you think about it, the one thing, like in general, we are habitual beings. And when we increase or heighten our standards for ourselves, it's kind of tricky to cut back on the standard, because a standard of living is basically a habit. It's something that we've done for a long period of time, and it's become who we are, both to ourselves, but also to the outward world. And that is something that can easily be changed. I mean, a habit is a habit. It's basically, you have to make a decision, and then within 3 weeks, you'll get into the habit of things. And then once the habit is there, cash flow can massively increase. Now, you remember, cash flow is your income, your monthly income minus your expenses, and that the money that you actually sit left with. Okay, so increasing our income is fantastic, and you've actually now probably, hopefully, started working a little bit harder. You've actually started getting a job on the side or a side gig on the side, and money is coming in extra, hopefully. And then you're looking at your personal expenses. Now, in order to make it simplified for yourself, because YNAB, even, the program that I've suggested in the past, even is also a little bit complex because there's so many categories, and what are you gonna do? So what has helped me a lot is to just divide my my income and my expenses into 3 categories. Okay, so I would take rent. That's one simple category that really doesn't change much unless you actually move, which you can, and which might actually help you develop more cash flow. But in our situation, it doesn't really help our financial situation. It would just mess up our habits and create actually less cash flow, if you will. So our rent stays the same, all right? Maybe that is the same for you. Now, the second category for me is what I call family expenses, or food or living expenses. Now, this one I've had at a certain level because we haven't cooked for ourselves. We haven't been very good at shopping food for a long period of time, instead of buying it almost every day or every 2 days whenever we need food, and then buying food outside. I've really given it a lot of thought lately, because this is where my cutting expenses have gone to. Now, you have the difference between you wanting to be healthy, right, and actually having good food. Now, even if you wanted to be more healthy, cutting your expenses in the food budget or in the family expenses budget actually even halving it is possible if you implement the strategies that I'm now going to mention. In terms of your health, when you go out and eat other people's food that you don't know what they've put inside it, and it probably has tons of oil and it's prepared on different frying things. Okay, eating outside in general is highly expensive, and at the same time you actually have to pay for someone else cooking for you. All right, it's like let's say you want to deliver a package. If you're gonna ask a professional to do that, that obviously will cost twice or 3 times or 4 times more than if you did it yourself, right? But it's easy, it's quick, whatever. Same thing with food. If you eat out, you're asking someone to prepare that food for you. That means it's going to cost 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times or sometimes 10 times more than if you cooked for yourself. Now, what do I mean by cooking for yourself? Learn this skill. Seriously, especially when you're a guy, okay? We learn to depend on our mothers too much. We learn to depend on our girlfriends cooking for us, and then suddenly they're gone, and what do? Well, you learn how to cook. You basically learn how to make stews. You learn how to make food that can last for a week, food that can last for 3 days, and then you freeze it, okay? You shop maybe once a week, maximum twice a week if you're a big family, and then you create food for a week or for 3 days. That for us has revolutionized our expenses in terms of cutting them pretty much in half. Alright, that's insane. I'm not going to belabor the point here, but seriously, how quickly could you develop cash flow if you cut your food expenses in half by not eating out and at the same time packing your lunches from those batches that you make once or twice a week and that you freeze? Oh man, you might need some proper containers to hold that food, and yes, it's going to be maybe a kind of like a one-time investment to buy like a huge casserole, but it's so worth it in the end. Can you imagine half your costs on food? It's insane. And to be honest with you, you actually become more healthy because you buy healthy food that you make once or twice a week. Amazing system that has happened in our family right now in increasing our cash flow massively. Okay, I'm so glad that we started doing this, and I'm eating healthier. Great. Okay, and the third category I put in the living expenses, I put everything. Okay, I put entertainment, I put Netflix, everything there. Okay. But the third category for me is cars, and that's because I have a transportation business. And those cars basically have a minimum amount of money that I need to set aside every single month. It's an overhead that needs to be covered no matter what. Yes, I could get rid of the cars, but then I'd pretty much get rid of the business. So basically I have to set aside amount for that. And then I just keep those 3 categories, and then I look at ways of cutting costs in all of them continuously. It's a continuous process of seeing where you can cut costs. And when you do have to pay for someone else's services, make sure that it's top quality, that it lasts, and that you don't have the same problems again and again, and so forth. You know how it works. Okay, I'm not going to belabor any more points now, but this is how you cut your expenses in order to become successful, in order to create a massive cash flow every month where you save basically 50% of your take-home money, hopefully. If you can only save 30%, fine, but continually find ways of increasing that percentage. Now, you've listened to this video probably, or you've and basically you might not do any of this. I'm telling you, start writing a list of how to increase your cash flow. It's the most important thing in order for you to become successful. Even if you massively increase your income, if your expenses go up with it, then there's no difference. Then you haven't progressed towards creating success. You need investment money. You need capital that will super speed your way to success. So the tagline is, how low can you go? Okay, if you're a single guy with rent, with food, with everything that you have, you should probably cut it down to $10,000 a month. You could go lower. You could go a lot lower, all right? But let's say you're a family, you're a couple. Let's say you cut it down to $15,000 a month or $18,000 a month. I'm talking about kroners here, okay? Like, do the evaluation in your own currency. If you're a family, you can definitely cut costs down to 25, depending upon where you live, or 30,000 a month. If you're double salary, or if you make a lot of income, that's fantastic. When you think about a family with 2 parents and 3 kids, or 4 kids, or 5 kids, that's basically where it's at. In no circumstance, none so ever, should your personal expenses be more than 40,000 kroners. This is 2018 levels, okay? I don't know what the future has in store for currency, but that's how I look at it. You should never, ever have your expenses be higher than 50,000 if you want to become massively successful and create massive wealth. It just won't help. All right. So this is the Men of High Value channel. I'll end there. My name is Joseph Darling, and I'll see you again tomorrow.